Don't make a fucking sound. Hands up.
Easy.
You know a girl named Nora?
Sure, yeah.
Where is she?
In the hospital.
Where in the hospital?
Yeah, they're clearing out the upper floors. She's somewhere in there.
Fuck. That was dumb.
When The Last of Us Part 2 was announced back in PSX 2016, I was very skeptical of The Last of Us even having a sequel because of how perfect the ambiguous ending of the first game was. The Last of Us Part 2 is a sequel that justifies its existence as it improves upon its predecessor in many ways, in terms of the fluid gameplay, the masterful storytelling, and the stunning graphics. The prologue to Part 2 is one of the most powerful and emotional scenes in video game history, rivaling the prologue of its predecessor. If Part 1 was about redemption, love, and compassion, Part 2 is the polar opposite, being a grim tale about revenge, loss, obsession, and the consequences of one's actions in an act of hatred throughout the cycle of violence. The cinematic storytelling of Part 2 is swiftly executed, as it enhances the world of the first game, as well as the lives of the characters that we know and love, Joel and Ellie. However, Part 2 also challenges our perceptions of these beloved characters, compelling me to rethink about Joel and Ellie as characters in a bigger, deeper, and more complex story. The gameplay of Part 2 has improved massively from Part 1, as the stealth mechanics easily reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The stealth is great, as Ellie mercilessly hunts down her enemies and brutally stabs them to death in her quest for retribution. However, even though the combat is satisfying, the enemies that you as Ellie kill have names and families. Once you murder an enemy in combat, one friend would call out to his ally's name in anguish and agony, forcing its dog to come after you. Dogs also have names as well, but even though I hated killing them, it did feel satisfying grotesquely murdering through the beautifully crafted levels in this game. The Last of Us Part 2 is most importantly a survival horror game, and it is not The Last of Us without the infamous infected. The infected in Part 2 have significantly evolved, with returning infected such as the bloaters, the runners, the clickers, the stalkers, as well as new types of infected that are terrifying once they are encountered. The terrible leaks launched onto YouTube a couple of months before the game's release due to hackers managing to gain access to a vulnerability within Naughty Dog's computer system, and the result of that were the divisive debates about the story of the game with thousands of fans. However, a specific scene has many disagreeing with the direction of the story, with one fan commenting on Twitter that the writers have destroyed the characters and what they stand for. Many fans were appalled by the way Naughty Dog have treated the leaks, including myself, but when I got my hands on the game myself and played it, I'd found it to be thoroughly intricate. I personally believe that Part 2 is a game that must be played in order to experience the whole story with context. It is a great game that must be played especially by fans of The Last of Us and for anyone who loves a great story. The story most importantly conveys how to cope with loss and grief in a world that has lost hope and contains the rarest feat of humanity throughout these well-written characters who are acted superbly by the human contributors. In addition to this, the story is one of the most gripping stories in a video game and a testament into how to write interactive stories in video games and how to spread all of these deep philosophical questions across a game in order to enrich the experience for the player. What accompanies the story are new characters with whom you surprisingly empathize with. Part 2 successfully blurs the morals between good and evil and remains on a grey throughout the game. The cinematography for Part 2 is brilliant, as the characters' emotions are clearly emphasized on screen during a scene, clearly resembling that of a high-budget Hollywood film. It is awe-inspiring what Naughty Dog have achieved with The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of graphics, the bold storytelling, the spectacular gameplay, and the complex characters, because all of these elements amalgamate together in order to simultaneously produce Naughty Dog's best game to date, and a game that will be talked about for years to come. To conclude, I will be giving this game a perfect 5 out of 5 rating. I know I may go off on a bit of a tangent, but I'm really excited for season 2 of The Last of Us TV show. I'm very excited because since part 2 is one of my favourite games of all time, I can't wait to see how HBO and the cast and the crew bring season 2 to life. And the characters, I'm just so excited to see them again. So excited to see Joel, I'm so excited to see Ellie, and I'm so excited to see these new characters that have been introduced in the game be brought back to life again in the TV show. And honestly, I loved the first season, even though I have my personal problems with it, such as, you know, Joel's character being very sentimental, because I've always known him in the game to be very stoic and not to express much emotions. But in the TV show, I feel like Pedro Pascal definitely brings in a vulnerability to Joel's character that I didn't expect to see, but I guess they should have just stuck with the original concept of Joel from the game, especially part 1 anyway. But yeah, I'm just super excited about how season 2 is going to play out, and, you know, the differences that they'll add to the story, because of course they have to make differences in order to make the experience fresh for gamers and viewers alike. So yeah, I'm just super excited, and it comes out on April. So yeah, it's just, man, it's such an exciting time. And if you guys like this video, please comment down in the comment section below, and you know, please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.